we'll just talk a while.
Call the meeting to order. Have a roll call, please.
Okay, Autumn Graybill,
Here.
Ron Buser,
Here.
Pamela Buffington,
Here.
Roy Jackson,
Here.
Sherry Alexander,
Did we
Here.
hear from her?
Chris Graves,
Here.
and Keith Shelby.
Here. Is Sherry coming, or do we know, or?
I haven't heard from her.
I thought she was coming. Petitions from the audience? Seeing none. Discuss possible approve the minutes of the October 28th to 2024 meeting. We have no copies of the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I sent this with the packet.
Did anybody have time to look at it? I did, if you have it.
Look at the packet.
I think I glanced through them in the
Okay.
attachment, but I didn't print it and bring it.
I didn't know it.
I
I can
haven't,
bring
so
it up really quick.
Oh, no, I think we're good.
I'll trust the discussion.
Is there anybody that wants me to go print them a copy?
Nope.
Okay.
I think we're good. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Frank Powell, Parks Report.
Well, what's bad is, it's been a few months, but still don't honestly have too much to report.
That's good.
Nice park report.
Between just winter months, guys taking off, the budget, the weather, just, we haven't really done anything special. Most everything is shut down. Of course, Phase 2 got installed back in, was it November, early December?
I saw a lot of people skating on that second part. It seems like that is really popular.
We've actually had some guys from Tulsa, and so they really like it, But I guess you don't really see. On the contrary, what some people believe, you don't see that many above ground parks like that.
Right.
Most of them are concrete or they're not the commercial type. But we still have things we want to do around it cosmetically, looking at shade structures still.
I like that idea.
Other than that, we, everything's winterized. So the guys have been doing a lot of rearranging and organizing in our shop, stuff like that. Gotten started on repairs and some maintenance. Usually February is the big month for us to do all the maintenance and all the equipment. They've been doing a lot of repairs. Other than that, I just got a couple of things I was going to maybe throw at you. There's the 4-way spring rider, and there's 2 little ones. As soon as you turn in, like a little spaceship and a motorcycle or ATV or something. That one's been broke so many times. We keep managing to repair it, but it's to the point.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk to y'all if you want me to pursue another little spring rider. I was talking about, they make those little bitty, like digging, like for kids, like they sit on a seat and dig, something like that.
That probably
It's
would
not
be better.
overly expensive. I haven't really went into detail yet of what. I was just going to kind of talk to y'all first. If there's something in mind you'd like to see go back in place of it.
A digger would be good.
Yeah. And then, so the only other thing I really got, I was going to throw at you, and this would probably be for next year, but when they done Phase 2, the guy come and done like a inspection afterwards and everything, and he brought me a book, and it's a bike park.
Really?
And I don't know if y'all would mind, there's like little obstacles that they, it's like a little area, but it's for bikes. Even though bikes can be used on the skate park, and then
Yeah,
I
I've
guess
seen
it
a
did-
lot of bikes out there on the skate park.
yeah. And so this, they do it individual or separately, and I guess you can make it as big as you want, small as you want, and so I have no quotes, price, and I just, the biggest thing for me would be through you all, if you want me to look into it, it's probably going to be like location. Where would we even wanna put something like
Well, we
this.
got a giant area over there that's
So I can,
bulldozed in and.
I got one book I can leave with you all, you pass it around or take turn. I won't be here in February meeting, but I'll send my assistant. That last week, I'm gonna be on vacation, and then as soon as I get back, the same week, I'm having surgery. So I'm gonna be off for, a few weeks there. But, so like I said, this would just be for, if you want me to look into it for next year's budget or something, so I can leave it
That's fine.
with you and then.
Gonna plant some seeds with us, are you?
It's just something.
I got a question on the skate park. Have you had any injuries reported or anything? Anything of significant? I imagine a lot of bumps and bruises and stuff, but nothing.
Nope.
No
And then-
torque claims or anything like that?
Pardon?
No torque claims or anything if that's.
Yeah.
So did,
I just
they
wondered
already
if you
put the
heard
second
somebody
phase in?
got hurt or anything
Yeah,
Yeah.
back in,
outside of
they
that.
actually got on it
November?
within
Where,
like a
what was
month.
it that they, I like drove by, I was looking, so I didn't like stop by and see, but I didn't know,
There's lots
what
of
did they
people.
add to it?
Weekends, if it's really, weather's
Yeah,
really
it does
nice.
get busy, yeah.
Golden weekends, it's really nice. You'll
What,
see it
what
burn.
all was included in the second phase? Was it several
There
more
were
ramps?
several new ones that were by itself,
Uh-huh.
rails, there's one that looks like a sofa thing, a bench, most of it was added, like, the ones that were there, like if they had 2 ramps,
Uh-huh.
they added a 3rd one, or
Also made it
it was
wider.
like a side with a,
Okay,
so a lot
to
of,
go off the side of it,
yeah.
okay.
and
You know, the
so-
city of Claremore has a bike trail that goes around their city lane.
Mhm.
Did
And
they
they
not,
have a group that does a lot of work out there, and it is extremely busy. There's people from all over, even people from Pryor that go there, that I know.
do they not use the BMX, or you have to
You-
have
you-
special
You
permission?
can, and then one of the rules on the skate, it's up there, is no pegs. I'm not gonna sit there and say they don't, I can't enforce it all the time, but that's a normal skate park rule, is bikes with no pegs. I guess that pegs can damage, like scar. So, but other than that, there's been, what's funny, the complaint we've got is not, it's actually from the skate on the splash pad. We thought it would actually be the opposite, like the moms at the splash pad complaining,
About like skate.
and it's actually the skateboarders saying the moms aren't keeping a total eye on their kids. Sometimes the kids will get over, and so they want me to look at the walk-through gates on the side of the splash pad, and so they actually want me to look at putting a gate on the other side,
So they don't just
so
go
little
back.
kids don't wander in
That
there
probably
while
wouldn't
they're
be a bad
skating.
idea.
Yeah,
Hey, it's good that
Yeah.
they're
so,
thinking.
but, other than that, there's
Secretary?
cemetery's going good. So I've been having fun with that, 2 guys, and, of course, that's going to happen. One went on vacation, and then the other day, one's wife's had surgery, and so, but luckily, like I said, my assistant worked out there for me the first time, so he's real familiar with it, so they've had to go out there and help, the other guy or cover for funerals and stuff. But so far, we've managed it, made it to work, everything's gone good, no one's really, complaining or, stuff like
We-
that, but.
I know it's early, but mowing season will be upon us by the time you
The-
get back for our next meeting.
I'm
Is
gonna
there a
say
plan?
the spring from now to May will be the kicker. Memorial Day, this is where it's gonna show, if it's gonna show. A lot of it depends on the weather in the spring. If we have a good spring that lets us just consistently work
Right.
them up, or if we get one of those wet ones. Now the time, because it's hard enough when you got a full crew if we get the bad spring.
Right.
So this will be the moment of truth, the next, from February to end of May. And then once Memorial Day's over and you're maintaining them on regular, I don't think it'll be so bad. It'll be
Right.
from February to May.
Well, I know with the upcoming weather and the changes and stuff, and outlook is not looking like there's very much.
Yeah,
Coming
'cause
in
it won't be
a few
just
days.
getting cemetery from there for Memorial Day. Everything's firing up, mowing at the park too. So that's where the next 3 months will be the more interesting part, but
Hey Frank, a quick question before you leave on, those things that you were talking about for the small kids in the park. The,
spring riders or
Yeah.
bigger.
do you have a rough idea on what those things cost?
So the spring riders, when I bought those, but they've been way back, they're like $500. So they're probably at least 1,000 now.
Okay,
The digger, I'm just throwing this out there. I would say between 1,000 and 2,000.
Well, here's where I'm going.
Fancy. You know, it's just a seat and a couple of arms. You
the reason I'm asking is, would that be something that we could approach some of the civic clubs? And I know, depends on what civic clubs you're talking about, the current condition. But I think there's always people looking for something to contribute to the
Donate,
park.
yeah.
And I think that might be something that we could,
Small enough. for them
Get-
to do.
they're small enough cost items that we could get people maybe to sponsor those. So if you get a list of those,
well, it's,
let us know.
I'll do some looking on some spring riders plus
That was one
diggers
place.
and
What's that? What is
And
it?
1,500.
either I'll bring it, or either I'll have a guy bring it the next meeting, or I'll do it in late
Okay.
March.
Roy found one, I think it was 1,500.
That's what, yeah. And speaking
I mean,
of Roy, we're fixing to go from pickleball to tennis, you know. So, other than that, I can't really think. I mean, things have gone relatively good and smooth.
Homeless situation at the park, or,
I mean,
I
things
know
are
the
pretty
police is out
quiet.
there quite a bit, cause I go by there.
I mean, we've
And-
had some minor issues, but for the
They're
most
pretty,
part,
they patrol it pretty good now, seems
Yeah,
like a lot better.
and when it's, like I said, when it's cold, you know, bathrooms are locked up and shut down, so,
So they're not tearing up the bathrooms now?
no, I mean, we had a spell a while back, yeah, and I think right that last meeting, when we got hit, right before we shut them down, we got hit at both, like Whitaker and Centennial.
Good grief.
And so that's the big thing. Centennial, within the next month, we'll start firing things up, and then that one down there is going to get like a whole new paint job, and you know, I mean, every couple of years we usually paint them. We usually don't do it till right before we open them. That way it's nice, fresh paint job. We never really had any issues at Centennial in the past. They've done little things. Because they just don't get used. But man, yeah, they tagged us hard, and whatever they used, we just kept bleeding through. We was using Kills primer and all that kind of stuff, and it would some kind of pink, and it would just. In the past, I've had some black paint. Sometimes it's hard to cover, but this was pink, and it would just keep bleeding through. And so the guys were going to take we got a big, heavy-duty power washer, and they's going to
Take care of it.
yeah. So, like I said, a lot of that happened right before we shut them down. So I think we just shut them down then. So all that'll be right before we open them. But, I mean, we did get 95% of it covered, but we're still gonna give it a good cleaning and whole new paint job. But,
On the park over by Lincoln, the Williams family and all those things were being talked about. Did all that discussions end in good shape and everybody got all those things resolved and comfortable?
I guess
know,
no one ever got with me.
The
I
last
hadn't heard.
conversation that I had with them was the same,
So,
they're still concerned that they're gonna play a sport, that there's gonna be some type of athletic part there, which there's never been any attention, and no matter what you try to tell them, they still believe it, because there's
So-
tons of kids over there.
we pulled the
Yeah.
lease, or not the lease, we pulled the deed that was signed in 2000, is when it was, I believe it was in the 2000 was dated.
Yeah.
And it said that we were to abide by the verbal agreement that we had with the donating family for a term not to exceed 15 years,
From,
2000.
So it's
So
past
it's
that.
done.
okay.
We're far past that, and so when we discussed it, it was, at this point, the park is 100% the city's, to do what we want with if we want to. I don't think anybody's saying we're gonna march in there and, turn it into slides and playgrounds and swings, but, I mean, come on, if if a group of kids is playing tag football and they're all 3 foot tall, who cares?
Right,
Well,
the
we
little,
did have a group that wanted to talk about possibly doing the frisbee golf.
Well, we've talked about things
Yeah.
like frisbee golf, and some of those things are,
They
they
were
are
okay with that, actually.
newer sports, things that go on.
well,
We have to remember that we are a town that includes children,
Yeah.
adults.
you love driving by there and you're seeing all these little
Yeah.
cheerleaders out there doing their cheerleading
Correct.
practice.
Yeah.
So as far as it goes, you know, we wholeheartedly and willingly met the terms of whatever. We've maintained the integrity of that park. Frank and his crew have done a great job to upkeep the property values that would affect. Easily, that's a gem. That city is that part of the city is a really nice park and public area. But at this point, if the city is okay with cheerleaders practicing their cheer routines or football teams playing tag football, or even Lincoln Elementary, which frequently takes their kids over there for field days and things like that, that's our prerogative at this point. And so, you know, nobody's defacing it, nobody's devaluing it. So if somebody were to come and say, that park is for children only, or for adults only at this point, no kids should be on there,
We're not gonna
Is that what,
ostracize
I don't
City
know, is
doesn't
that what they
operate
were
that way.
saying? They were just afraid that it was gonna be taken over by competitive sports, I guess, wasn't it, or?
Well, that was their concerns, and the next thing was gonna be basketball courts, and that's never been brought up, and they had a team out there that was practicing, cause that was close to everybody's, it was a central location for them, so they used it, and I guess my statement would be, so now we're going to say, you can't practice soccer here, so cheerleaders, you can't practice your
Yeah.
cheers there, football, you can't practice here.
Once you
And
start that.
So I don't think the city is in any position to go, we're not interested in you playing in our parks,
Yeah.
because it just sends a very negative
It does.
Yeah, why would
And
message
it-
to everybody,
it's
and
a
there's no
park.
reason for that.
It's supposed to be for our community
You know,
and for our kids.
those areas are given to us for quality of life, for recreation, for
Right.
kind of connecting back with the outdoors. And I think at this point, we look at our youth and we have to kind of say, put your tablets down and go out in the park, and I don't care if it's this park or that park or the backyard.
Wherever.
Yeah.
Just be glad that they're out doing it, and we need to be supportive of them. They are, I mean, not to sound cliche, but they're our future, so who cares if they're throwing a
That
frisbee in a park?
conversation kinda has faded away, I guess.
That-
The word
100%.
I'd gotten was
You're good.
soccer, and I guess they were bringing like some portable goals, and I heard that they were feared that we were gonna set that up. It's just like you said, it's
It's
just
not the
people
permanent
practicing, yeah, it's just so.
But we've met the obligation of that deed, and we.
By far.
Nobody's gonna deface.
I think when it was brought up, there was lack of clarity, and you kinda, well, I knew there was some agreement, but you don't know exactly what it was, and at least I guess we got a better handle on it now to deal
Well,
with.
Yeah.
and whenever, like I said, the deed was pulled out, and it was, the city had maintained and met all of its obligations with it, so.
I'm gonna throw this out real quick, the guys, we go through spells every few years where, like, I've never bought a tree. Like, people donate them,
Right.
90% of the time it's in memory of someone. I remember way back, at one time we was having to go around and water like 15 new trees. And then a couple years ago, Gus,
Gustafson,
yeah, he gave us like 5 or 6 in between Centennial and, that's just the only problem I have, sometimes they bring them to me telling me where they want it, when it's like, no, it don't work that way, but my guys, because of some of the weather we've had the last few years, we got a couple, yeah, that we're fixing to take out, so he wanted me to put the word out, just to the, if you know people or to the public, that we need some trees.
Where do we recognize them at? Is it somewhere that they do it, or?
You mean like buy the tree?
No, I mean, if they buy the
Recognize
tree and they
them
wanted
doing it.
recognition for putting trees in, is that what we're doing?
All I ask is they come to me, and usually I'll meet with the people, and we'll compromise of where they,
Like have it at?
yeah.
So
Are
it
you
just
talking
gets
about
like-
acknowledging
And
the
Or
paper?
acknowledge, or they give
Is
it?
it just
I
in the
don't-
paper, or?
Yeah.
There's no
There's
acknowledgement.
no acknowledgement.
No, there's not any, people just, over the years, they've just always kinda done it,
In
but,
memory of, or
Yeah, but we could, the guys just let me know, Dave, and I told them I was having, a meeting. They said, man, we could use some trees. They said, we've lost a few lately and some big ones that are fixing to be took out. We got, and, just to go back and take so long for a tree to grow.
Any tree, good tree, bad?
Usually what we recommend, well, and Gus gave us a bunch of red bud. So it used to be red bud, but oak and maple,
Okay.
it's the two,
Hardy,
huh.
the
But-
hardy, yeah.
But really no flowers or nothing that, I don't really high on fruit trees, you gotta mow or anything that's gonna need a ton of
Maintenance.
maintenance type, rosebud, but
Frank, do you have a size in mind? I mean, if somebody's gonna donate a tree, do you prefer a specific
most of the
height?
time it's the standard in the, 5-gallon? Every now and then somebody will splurge and get us a great, which I usually don't like to do that because if for some reason it doesn't make it, you hate to see somebody spend that much money on a giant tree. And we've only lost one or two as long as I've been there from us planting. And a lot of times it came, like we planted in the spring, and it came a major, huge, like rain, and then they root rotted. But and then that happens. But I had 2 or 3 hit me up at late summer, but we're all like, no, that major drought we had. And then usually they said October through February is a good time to plant, but no one came back, with the trees. But I'm just kind of throwing that out there in case,
We'll get the word out.
Just a quick comment about these parks that get donated. We used to have Grace Samuels Park, and it's gone now. The family had contacted me when that started happening. The daughters, I don't know if the daughters or granddaughters, were saying, is this a matter of money? And my response to them was, no, that park's gonna be rebuilt as part of Roosevelt. That was the deal at the time, but it never got rebuilt, it just went away. So these things, when they're given in somebody's name, there are some expectations, and they take pride in having their names on a park. And I would say the Williams, they did not want to name that the Williams Park, but that was their park, and there are a lot of those Williams folks still around, still amongst us. And I think what their original intention was, they knew the city couldn't do it, was to make that a garden like Tulsa Gardens. Someplace that people could go plant things, and it would be a place for people to go and sit and watch the hummingbirds and the butterflies and whoever else. Frank Moe. So I just say this so that we maintain a sensitivity around, that's a valuable piece of property for those of you that know what property's worth. That was quite a financial donation to make. And so I don't want anybody to leave and anybody to hear this tonight and say, well, we're not sensitive to that, because we are. Charlie's moved back, he and his wife, and the kids are here, and the sisters and brothers. So I do think that we want to make sure they understand we're trying to still accommodate what their original intent, and they want to be a daylight only. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the daylight only was, they didn't want to have a park where you had a bunch of people running in there at night.
Sure.
So I just want to add that color to the discussion, so when we're thinking and talking about these things, we recognize.
And on that note, you mentioned like gardens, I'd give anything to have like a lot more flower bed stuff, but we don't have the manpower to make.
We couldn't maintain that thing down there in front of Roosevelt.
And then a lot of times, and I'm not mentioning anybody, but I don't know how many times we've had individuals or organizations want to do something, they said they'll maintain it, and they do for maybe a year. Well, then we're stuck with it, and next thing you know, we're ripping it out, and you hate to, but,
They did it at Centennial, remember?
Yeah.
They was gonna do it right around that gazebo.
Yeah.
But,
but,
I mean, I'm complete in agreement that, I agree with what you're saying, and I don't think anybody's saying anything different. It was just the comment from them was that it was being changed and it was,
Yes.
nothing had ever been that way. And then whenever they're seeing kids out there and they're doing this and this, instead of somebody pumping the brakes and going, let me ask and find out, and getting the huff and then letters and emails, and it's like, wait a minute. Here's the deal behind it. This is what's being done. This is what it said, and nobody has ever said it's never been even on an agenda item. And I think it just, from what's written in the paper to what you see, it doesn't matter. There's lots of things that get spread, and there was never really any truth to what was being said. A lot of misinformation. So
it might be, when we run into those things, Frank, is bring those people to the park board.
I never had anybody from the Williams contact me. It was through the grapevine that I heard or called. But, it's just like when we put up the workout equipment, we still went through them and got their approval for that, because it wasn't normal playground toys. And then a lot of your people done those, basic camp or workout?
Basic training?
Yeah, or something in the morning,
camp.
workout, yeah.
Boot camp.
So that's why it kind of come up to put them down there, which they're used.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like anything, it's just a lot of misinformation, too many talking people and not enough clarity from one source, and you're completely agreeing, and I think it's been kept that way, even maintained, because even, I think it was 2 years ago, you and I went and talked to that lady about that one gazebo that was just falling apart, it was horrible.
Yeah.
So,
I hope she liked what we put up.
I've not heard anybody
Yeah.
complain about it.
So that's what I'm saying, no one's called.
Anything else for Frank?
Nope.
Awesome, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Golf course director, Dennis Bowman. You got the couple here.
Good evening, everyone. You have to excuse me, my voice is a little under the weather, so. But anyway, the golf course has been doing really good, so kind of give you all a little history, a little bit on the numbers so you understand where we're at. I guess 3 years ago, our total revenue was $602,000. 2 years ago, it was $736,000. Then last year, it was $791,000. So this year, we're trending somewhere between $850,000 and $860,000. So, yeah.
Impressive.
It very is. I mean, so we're just tickled to death.
Wasn't a major jump between year 736 and 791, but that's still quite a bit.
The last, from July 23 to December 23, we did 368,000. And July 24 to December 24, we did 466. Now, some it skewed a little bit because we had a lot more people take advantage of our membership special we ran in December. So that went really good this year. So, some of those memberships normally get paid in April, May, and then a lot of them took advantage of there. But we're still, 98,000 ahead of last year, which is.
And with using the app, did we finally?
Sagacity, yeah.
Where did that end up at?
I don't have those year-to-date numbers as of.
How many did it add more? How many more rounds of golf do you figure it added to your number? Do you have any idea?
I don't have those numbers, but it was pretty substantial. It was roughly, it was going $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. So it's been very, very good.
Is that the app?
And I can get those numbers, yeah, the Sagacity app where they can,
Better times
yeah.
to play, is it slow now, you get a discount or?
Dynamic pricing
Yeah.
app, yeah.
Okay.
So it's been very good.
So many people.
But I can get those numbers. I do have a meeting set up next week with them to go over all that.
Awesome.
And see what.
It'd be nice to see kind of where we're.
Yeah.
What we did.
See what changes. I told them, I said, I want to go over and, review our last year and then see what we need to do to tweak it, make it, if we make another 5% better or 10%, that'd be awesome. So we're going to be doing that next week.
Okay.
So our revenue's just been really good. In our expenses, let's see where we at there. So for the last 6 months, we spent 327, made 466, so, you know, we're up 129,000.
Good,
But,
good.
like I said, some of that membership that we normally get, but they're still very good, so, if we, you know, the next 5 months, if we can have, February and March, April, May, June be good, it's gonna be a great year, just a great year, so, but you never know with, March and April, what the weather will do to us, so, we can have great weather, we can have rain, who knows, but, we'll deal with whatever we get. So that part's really good. Anybody have any questions over any of that?
I think that's a reflection of the course condition. You have a lot of tournaments out there. They get people from out of town to come, and then they leave and talk. And I think it's all just.
Actually just booked a tournament from Oklahoma City. It's part of the unemployment people that'll be coming up, anyway, so, yeah, it's really, really good, yeah. I sent everybody a, email on the upcoming events, so there's like 22 scheduled right now, and there's probably at least another 10 or 12 I gotta put on there. Just waiting to get the contracts and everything
That's quite
in
big.
order. So it's gonna be a bit, what's that?
That's quite a few.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna
That's
be,
much.
it's gonna be busy, you know, we'll be doing something all the time, which is great, you know, that's what we're there for. I just recently got back from the PGA conference, and that was a very good conference. Went over carts. I've been trying to look at, you know, because we really need to do carts in July or so, put them in this next budget and get in a new fleet. So went over our software company and then Sagacity Golf, and so a lot of good stuff there. The maintenance, you know, we're rebuilding our mowers, getting them all done, so that's going really good. When it's nice out, we take care. We've been doing some tree work and leaves, cleaning them up. That's a big piece of property. There's a lot of leaves. And it won't be long. We're getting ready because you know, we usually try to start spraying our pre-emergent sometime middle of February to the 1st of March. So we'll be spraying here shortly every time we get some good weather. So that's a big project to do that. Our membership's really good. We're up to 13 corporate memberships now, so quite a few people are taking advantage of that really good, so tickles us.
When we first started that pricing, remember that?
For years, we were lucky to have one or two.
Right, we was getting one or two, exactly, so that's really, really taken off good, so. On our cart stalls, we have our highest waiting list that we've had in a long time. It's up to 10. So 10 people waiting on cart stalls, and there's not going to be very many turnover. 1 or 2, maybe 3, you know, because everybody wants to keep them. So that's.
And you're still making it very clear to those folks that they can't put those in their will. We've had the argument here. There's people that have approached us.
Yeah.
Really?
I need to make sure. I need to make sure. I do need to make sure that they all understand that.
Can
so.
you explain something to the ignorant over here? So are the cart stalls is just like a parking spot, I'm assuming, for the golf carts?
Yeah, they're like rental stalls,
Commercial stalls, okay.
and they pay to keep their cart
Dry and,
right in a shed, and it also provides them electricity to charge their cart.
so have we priced, like, I don't know what all is on your to-do list,
Yeah.
but have we priced maybe expanding that if it's that big of a,
No room where you can put it.
there's no room for it?
Yeah,
So that's
and
my
it's-
question, I don't
Right.
know.
It's actually a little counter feasible for the bottom line of the golf course to have more of those,
Okay,
because then it takes away from our rentals that we're.
oh, I
actually
see what you're
renting
saying,
carts.
okay, so it's not
Yeah.
to store the one, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes
So-
sense.
But we
It's a
do
big
have that.
just add here so it's a big convenience for people. They don't have to tow their cart out
Back
there.
and forth.
Right.
You can buy where you can tow your car,
trail on.
trail
Right.
on and
Right.
bring it on.
Yeah.
But these buildings, and the other thing is just the cost of capital to build those and
Right.
maintain them.
Maintain it.
Like
We've
a
had-
storage unit for golf carts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
got it.
And there's somebody that has, I don't know how well those other storage facilities are being used by people
A couple of them are being used now.
to store their carts in, and
Yes, across the street, there's a company that, private equity that has storage buildings.
I was just gonna say, since they can legally drive them on the road or something now, can't they?
Well, yeah,
that
drive 'em on the road right
have,
there.
it would be advantageous for somebody to build some near the golf course, I guess.
They
But then
did.
again, that's taking away from our rentals, so.
Right. And we do have a limited number of trail lawns also that we offer for that reason. So I think, so, and I do have that, you know, one of the talking points is due to that demand, and we've been at $760 a year for a stall. We've been at that for quite a while. I think it's time to raise that. And, you know, we have a lot of, just at the first of the year, Pryor Stone sent us a letter saying rock was going up 15% and all sand went up 20%. That's a pretty good hike, you know, but chemicals are up, everything, you know. You don't get anything that goes cheaper, I don't think. So, but that's one of the things, you know, I'll bring next month is a membership increase. I think we're due for that, and just, doesn't have to be a lot, but we need to keep up with the cost of inflation.
When's the last time it was changed?
Been several years.
I was gonna try to remember if I've done it since I've been here, I don't remember.
I've
I
been
don't-
through
I
too
don't
many
think
over the
so.
years, I can't remember how.
I'm not too good at keeping up with the last time it was, but
I don't
it's been a
remember.
while, so that, I mean, I think it's,
I don't ever remember, I don't know when the last time. they
So
were-
Ron and I've been on a couple of years.
Yeah.
We
so
have-
if anybody has any input on, you know, I'm thinking around 10%, so, you know, 760, 10%, stuff like that, so that's kind of the numbers I'm looking at. You know, it's very important for the golf course to, you know, have some money over our expenses so that we can keep doing our capital improvements and maintaining cart path buildings. It's just a
Bridges.
lot, bridges, exactly. There's a lot of maintenance that we have to make sure we have enough money every year to cover that cost, equipment, buying new equipment and stuff, so,
Are you talking about 10% across the board?
yes.
You know, timing, people know that costs have gone up.
Right,
Everybody's kind of acclimated to things are more expensive.
correct.
So you might find less pushback now than you might have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you might, I don't know if things are gonna go down any, hopefully, with Trump, so you might wanna do
Maybe.
it sooner than later,
Yeah.
because once you start going down, it'd be not so great to bump the
Yeah.
prices.
Some memberships, that's all I have right there.
Bridges?
Yep, bridges, he's got 3 of them built, he's working on the 4th one, and, so on the bridges, we're gonna have to, pour some concrete abutments for them to set on. So we've been kinda going over that, trying to figure out what the best way to do that. And, I don't know, maybe where, we hit at the golf course, pour the concrete ourselves, that's not too hard to do. We tried to get Buddy from the street department to do it, but he's too busy, so, anyway, it's either that or contract it out, you know, and, so that's one of the questions I had for you guys. You know, we can have to bid it out. It's gonna be a pretty good process to bid it out, or we can try to pour one of them ourselves and see how we do, but, you know, it's just where the bridge sits on it and abutments, so, we have some designs already, so.
Do you have a sense of, structurally, how critical is it that, is this something that needs a lot of iron in it? Is it rebar?
Yeah,
and
I'd have
built?
to have rebar and,
It's got a foundation,
yeah.
but you think you can, or can you got somebody that can do the rebar and?
Yeah, we
Okay.
we can do that, you know, it's just, we got a lot of other things going too,
Yeah.
you know, so it's kind of one of the questions I had for you guys. I mean, we need to get it done, so we can do a change order, and a separate change order with the engineer, but, they can go up a little bit on that. And 23,000 is what they said, that they can do a change order on something new. And that would be a new deal, so, I don't know how much it would cost to do that through the engineer. We could have him maybe give us a quote on what he thinks.
Is that our city engineer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Dale.
Dale
Dale
Burke.
can do that.
That's for the installation of the bridges, is what you're talking about now?
No.
That's just the engineering cost.
Just the engineering.
Engineering cost, and then the change order would be for the contractor that's out there now to take what the engineer designed into, for the
Legally,
concrete.
it can't be over a certain percentage over
Right.
what the.
Well, do you think it needs to be, I think from the city's perspective, the liability or the risk is, one is if we have that thing craters on us while somebody's on it.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
which would be probably slim, but, and the other one is just the cost of keeping it up and having to fix it, and is it better to, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But you could probably find out from, just with some questions, I would take from some of those engineers saying, is this something that we really need to have engineered? Or
Yeah,
what's the risk if we don't?
I hadn't asked him what the risk was, but I did ask him, and they said that they could do that, and then we talked to the contractor, he said, yeah, it wouldn't be no problem for him to do that along with everything else he's got going, but it just have to be a change order
Okay,
in that manner. And that's really what I'd recommend, I'm not a concrete guy. I mean, I've been around enough stuff, I've poured a lot of concrete, cart paths, all kinds of different things, built buildings, but, you got an engineer that's there, you got a contractor that's there, it's just as easy for them to do it, and then city does have a recourse if anything would ever go wrong.
Probably has to be done that way.
Well, it's not anything that's on the agenda item, so it's
No.
something to think about.
But that, we'd
I would
probably
like
have to,
put it on a meeting next month then, so we can look at that.
we'd probably have to have a special meeting to make it happen pretty quick, so something,
Let's get one scheduled then.
and then that way,
Yeah, 'cause it'd be good to
we can
know.
go over this change order here, and then
Correct.
because that contractor is gonna be in and out of there pretty quick.
Okay.
We wanna get him while he's there.
So you have 3 bridges already fabricated,
Yes,
and how many bridges total are?
5 altogether.
Five.
And the other 2, he's just gonna set on top of existing bridges, so
Okay.
we're just gonna set them on top of the existing bridge, so there's no, all you do is just pour some concrete
Slope to-
slope to it, which is really simple. There's no structural stuff, so.
Any other questions for Dennis?
are we on,
Go ahead.
we're on 5?
Yep.
Okay. You're going to 6, that's one.
Yeah, that's one I.
All right, everybody's waiting on it, so I just. Number 6, discussion and possible action regarding golf course pass PRY-24-06, change order number 1 in the amount of $63,656.99 to Eric and Sons Asphalt LLC.
Did y'all get a copy of this?
We did in the packet.
Okay, good.
We don't have one in front of us, I don't think anybody does.
What is it, the change order?
Yes. So, just to back up a little bit, where we was at, I got with Jay, and the original was 285, the original budgeted amount for our project was 285, with 25,000 coming from the Cherokee Nation. Now, we lost that 25,000 from Danny, and a whole nother story, I'm not too sure why, but anyway.
So we don't have that 25,000?
No, we have 260, and that's what I told the engineer, that's what, so that's what the numbers we're working off of is 260. So to back up a little bit further, I just got the report, and it's pretty close, it's not the exact number, but I think our account's about 506,000. So we've never probably had that much money in a long time. I don't know when it's had that much money. But anyway, so about 506,000 is in our account right now. So anyway, so we have 260 budgeted. The original bid is 157, change order is 63, that comes to 220. You got 24 on engineering and another 9,000 on the resident engineer there, so it makes it 254.
254.
254. So what that gets us is, the original bid, we were just going through getting the cart pass that we absolutely had to have, that was pretty bad. And so we had to, figure out which ones we could do. And so with the change order, that lets us do, now, cart path number 1 is concrete, so we don't need it. 2 and 3 are good, but that lets us do from 4 all the way around through 18. And the area where we stage our carts and the road that goes down to 10 and the parking lot. So we're basically, with this change order, getting everything done except for the cart path on 2, which is good. And there's a few spots they're actually gonna fix on that path. And then cart path number 3.
So this is the overlay part, right?
Yes.
So 1.5.
So on those 2 that aren't done, they have a long life in front of them too, or is it something we're gonna have to turn around and do in 2 or 3 years?
You know, I think the life is pretty good on them, but I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years we'll need to do those 2. And there's always, we might be able to spray an oil, you know, do that oil spray on them, that tack and seal, whatever, that seal coat that they, might be able to do a seal coat on them, and that may extend the life of them, because they're in pretty good shape.
And that 254 covers all except for those 2.
Correct.
And what would those 2 cost? I mean, just for discussion, kind of get it all done out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
if you got the money, you're investing on
Number
future revenues coming in, and
Yeah, number 2 is the widest cart path we have, and it's one of the long ones, and then 3 is a short one. So, man, I don't know. I'd say probably 15,000 might do it all, but I don't know. You know, I could got that number from Dale, and I can sure get that
what do
number.
you all think? I mean, you partly do something, and if you got the funds and you can do a turnkey package on it, I don't want to derail what you already have.
Right?
Okay,
No,
at all.
100%.
But does it make any sense to talk about, let's just get this whole thing done?
Well, then, I think the discussion comes, we're just now talking about doing that concrete while he's out there. So there's a change order, and that's 20,
There's gonna be more there.
Well, I
That's
don't
what I
know.
was
We
just
don't know
gonna
what
say,
that
that-
will cost.
So, I
We
mean,
can
we're-
go up to 23,000 more with that,
so you're.
but that's as much
so
as
you're- So
the
we're
contractor
tagging that
can go
account
up.
again for the concrete and the, you know.
Might get too complicated, right?
Well, I can get
I
those
mean-
numbers.
I mean, I see what you're saying, and but at the same point, if it's something that's not needed,
Right.
and we think they'll last a while,
Okay.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
which is more important, the bridges have been always the
Yes.
complaints.
Yeah, the
and
bridges
Most
are
of the cart paths
really
are, so
important.
we're getting 95% of the cart paths done, you're getting your bridges done. It'd be hard to, that little bit to get over the road, who knows, somebody may say, hey, how much does it cost to get this done? And maybe we look at our funds too, when we're getting out there, if it looks like he can do it for $6,000-7,000, hey, it's gonna be this much more money to get it done.
I think it's an obvious question,
Yeah.
you know, when you're doing this. My thoughts are, if you've got a 5-year useful life, you think, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
We're not like a highway.
yeah. It's not that we couldn't come in, you know, it delays, considering time value of money. You know, 15,000 is not gonna be that big of a difference in 5 years versus now, but, my leaning is let's do where we can, put the money where we can get the most improvement. Cause I think one of the things that we're really trying to drive for here and for you guys at play, is we've got some cart paths that are just really in bad shape. And people complain about them. And so if we continue to focus on those, and then I know you've got some other things you're talking about too, but.
Well, it looks like the
Bridges.
path is already open for this, okay? It's kind of like, let's leave well enough alone, okay? Not get it complicated and go forward with our plan, and then, I hear what you're saying. In 2 or 3 years, if it's a need, it's a $15,000 or $20,000 deal, that's a whole lot easier to talk about, okay, and get pushed through.
All right, and especially since we were talking about doing the concrete for the,
Yeah, we need to get
The
the
bridges.
concrete bridges part done. And,
I think that one of the biggest concerns that I heard some of the counselors say is, well, we're saving so much, well, why are we gonna spend it if we're saving? Well, so this is what I would say from construction point of view, and then if you're already out there, it's a lot cheaper to not have to pay multiple,
Organization.
well, no, startup costs, the.
Right.
So it would be better, and it's something that we need to do anyway.
Yeah.
So if it's in the budget, and it's just adding on to it, I think it absolutely needs to happen.
So one of the concerns I had, you know, we're dealing with what, a 260,000 budget, right? But this puts us, with the change order, it would put us within 5,000, what is that? $5,195 of that limit. And my question to Dale was, after we all talked, was what happens if we get in this and we find out that a base somewhere is bad and has to be ripped up and replaced? We don't have any more money left in that, what do we do? And he said basically what it would do is he would set that up with the contractor to basically pull from the priority. So they would prioritize whatever that change order, I don't know if this is making any sense, but say we go and do the additional paths, but we find out that there's a $10,000 base repair that has to be made over here in the original plan, they would back $10,000 off of that change order.
Right.
So that it would keep it at that, and then that way that price would never go up again. So we kind of wanted to make sure that we understood that there were methods to not go over budget, but I also think it's, you know, we've talked a lot about this, we talked about it with some of the other departments, is we don't want to get in a scenario where just because we have it, we have to spend it. We don't want to,
No.
No,
what do we tell our kids, don't let it burn a hole in your pocket?
yeah.
But I think we do have to look at, you know, the mobilization, the setups
Yes.
to get out there. We are dealing with, we're not dealing with roads, we're dealing with paths.
Well, and the
So
press
one of
that
the-
we already have issues with, right?
So one
Oh,
of the,
yeah.
one of the things that the contractor was concerned about was having to go back over some of those with the heavier equipment once they've been done. What's that gonna do? You know, is that gonna tear them up down the road? Is it not? So there are a lot of things to weigh in, and Dennis thought that it would be appropriate to present this as an opportunity, but there are means to keep us from going over that budget if you choose to vote that way, and there are things to consider if we don't do it. The other is that we'll just have to pay that extra, you know, setup and mobilization 5 years from now. It's not a, you know, that's just a whole nother project, maybe some new engineering, maybe we can tie it into some others, but I do have the things where we still have the bridges to set, and that's an investment we've already made. Some of those funds were donated, so, you know, if we can figure out a way to get all of that in there, then yeah, if there's extra, maybe we look at something else, but right now I think we gotta,
Well, and maybe if there is, like, the bridge is more important than some of the add-ons into the change order, is there a way they can work that in to where maybe, instead of doing some of the things that are in the change order, do the bridge?
Yeah, that's where, if you look at this sheet here, it's got the little legend here in the middle, it's everything's prioritized, that's what the mayor.
Okay.
So we prioritize all the paths, hey, from the highest to the lowest. And that's what, so the lowest priority would come off of that to keep.
And
us
these
in.
were all originally on the to-do list anyway.
Yes, yeah.
So when I think about priority of money, we've got a going concern out there that we have taken people's money, we have to deliver a service.
Right.
And so you know best how much you think we need to have in reserve. I don't know what that number is, but do you have a number that you would like to maintain off the top of your head as far as?
Yeah, I've always liked to maintain at least 100,000 in the account, that's going into the winter. So you have to have more than that, you know, but,
And so when you're done with this project, you're gonna have about 250 in that account.
240, 250, yeah.
Year is 60 days.
And so what we're saying is that's an amount of money that if something happens, a natural disaster, a tornado comes through
Right.
there,
Yeah.
that we can restore service. Or if we have one of the big pieces of equipment go out, whether it's, you know, irrigation or whatever.
Right, pump station or
So
something.
you're saying 100,000 at the bottom and anything above 100,000
Extra.
is cushion,
I believe so, yep.
okay?
I've always been comfortable with that, so.
So then you've got your priorities of which of these, I would think our priorities would be those things that are going to impact the revenue stream on the golf course.
Right.
Which of these are, if not done, would have a negative impact on revenues? And you think you prioritize those? You think we're hitting those things that are,
Yep, we've had that capital improvement list for quite a while, and so
Okay.
it doesn't move, because we, you know, I mean, as we do it, you know,
Adds,
our first priority, you know, quite a while back was equipment. We started knocking our equipment off, and we got some very good equipment that really helped our maintenance, which improved our golf course a bunch. So we still have some other equipment on there, but yeah, that's still prioritized list of capital improvements.
And is that money part of the 100,000, or is it the gap between the 100,000 and what you're gonna,
It's always the gap,
okay.
yeah, over 100.
So how much do you have to spend between what we currently have and the 250,000 that you're gonna maintain? That you thought you would end, when this is all said and done, is that 250,000 you thought you were gonna have extra instead of the 100,000?
Or is there other things that
Yeah.
you have that you're gonna be at,
If I'm asking,
pulling
Well,
out of it?
So,
Is that right?
yeah, we do this cart path project and the bridges, and say at the end of the fiscal year, we have 200 and I think I had 240,000 left, okay? So we're still 140 above our minimum that I want to
Yeah.
maintain in there.
And that didn't count any carryover that you'd have,
Now that does count, that would be the carryover.
okay.
Like I said, you have 500,000 in there right now, you spend 260, you got 240. You don't never want to go below 100, so it leaves you 140. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with anything from now till
Right, that's,
June.
Okay.
right.
Right.
Well, and on an annual basis, the way things are going now, what's your surplus gonna be running for other capital improvements down the road?
Well, at the end of this year, we still should have 140 above our minimum at the end of this year.
Which is a reflection of the
That's
quality of
if,
the course and
you
the
know.
usage, and it's a profitable concern that's
That's what
gonna
I'm
be
saying.
adding about that much
I mean,
every year.
if you, let's say, you're gonna, come tomorrow, let's say everything gets done, you got 240 left in the bank. And you know it takes 100, so you got 140 left. This is February 1, Saturday morning. Saturday morning until June 1st is, you know, February's not great, but March gets better, and April, May, June, you have lots of
Revenue
months there
coming
that's
in.
gonna be, is very good revenue.
Yeah.
Usually, so it's only gonna increase that, so you can be as much as 60, 80,000 above that.
We just have,
so how much money when we boil this all down? Because I think we've answered the council's issue. I
right?
think the council is going, geez, I mean, when you look at this, it's kind of like, oh, we had some extra money.
Where's this all going?
Why
Where's
don't
it
we,
going?
yeah, and why go spend it if we don't need, or we
Right.
just spend it because the bid came in? But that's not the case. You've got the numbers to show. We've got plenty of reserve. And now the question is how much scope can you get done with the money that you have left to commit to this project?
Right. And that's where we prioritized all the cart paths, and, you know, we wanted to get all the bad ones that are really bad first. And that's why that was the first bid, was making sure we just got those. Minimum we're gonna do is get the bad
9 or
ones.
10 or something like that.
But we kept making, and when we
Was it
started this,
11, I think, something like that. There's
Yeah.
like 11
Yeah,
of them, wasn't
right.
there, I think?
but when we started this was a long time ago, right? I mean, this is what, over a year ago, year and a half ago, when we started this. So it was prioritizing a year and a half ago. So, and since that time, our revenue just keeps on going up and up. So we have a lot more money now than we did a year and a half ago when we started this project. So, which is good. But, you know, you don't want to go out there like some of the cart paths, like the mayor mentioned, like hole 5 is a decent cart path. It's not good, it's not gonna last that long, but it's decent. But you don't wanna do 4 and 6 and then have to drive over 4 and 6 2 or 3 years later and do 5. You may only, you know, a couple of years, I mean, it's got some potholes and stuff in it, but we patch them. But it's not, but that's why we prioritized all the cart paths.
You get the bridges. And
The more you
the
do,
more you do, the better.
right.
Better speed of play.
So if we approve this, tell us what the scope is and how much we're gonna spend. If we
So-
approve what you're asking for here.
Right, so if we approve this, what I would see us doing is, approving, the total cost of 254,804.09, basically that amount. And I need to get with the engineer and see about the bridge abutments and put that in here, and probably have to scale back one or two past depending on our priority list. But, or
It's either that or you're gonna have to raise the 254.
what's that?
It's either that or you're gonna have to raise the amount of.
Right. We have to ask.
And you'll have to go back to council with that, because they approved, what, 260?
So that would be the plan, is first find out from him how much would the bridge abutments.
And it's all a little bit fluid until it all comes down.
Right.
And what comes out of that, maybe we just deal with next year then, if it has to be.
Yeah.
Could turn out all good, I guess. We just don't know.
Just so we're on the same page, what I'm hearing though is we're not doing, we know 1 and 2, or is it 1 and 3? Tell Mike.
1 and 2 and 3.
1, 2, 3 are out of scope.
Right.
And what other ones will only if we have more than, well, if we, with the 254,000, which other ones are we leaving out of scope? Which paths? Any? Because you don't know what the bridge support's gonna cost you.
Right.
You're trying to guess, I know, but what would be the other things that would be out of scope?
I'd have to look here on the numbers. It's kind of, they're all color coded, so it makes it a little hard to see here. Where's his purple at? Trying to figure out, I guess that's, this ink's a little different when you look at it.
Am I asking the wrong question, or somebody else got this already?
No, I think, I don't know. He has a priority list and he's gonna work it down based on the money that's left off of an unknown amount that we don't know what some things are gonna cost. And the way I kind of look at it is, you know, we've been wrestling this thing for 1.5 years. And everything's been engineered and approved for 254, and it's a little bit gray on how far that's gonna go. But I think we need to proceed and get some of these, because the main thing is gonna fix those car paths and some bridges that gotta be done.
Yep. Another thing we can
Then we
do,
can deal with what is critical. If there's anything critical, we can deal with that later. There's plenty of excess funds, and it's only gonna get more year after year, but it gets us off center, I guess is a good way to put it.
So what I was thinking, I think I've seen this done other places, but what if we were able to say we could approve $300,000 instead of the 254, and then you would have some cushion money in there to do some projects like.
Another 40,000?
I'm just putting a number at it. Could
No,
be-
no, I mean,
it
that's,
was-
yeah.
But instead of just approving exactly, approve
Another,
I just said 300,000 because it was a easy number, but it could be 275. But anyway, that would give you some freedom to do some of that extra
Has the
stuff.
council already approved?
Yeah, the council already approved the 260.
Do you think there's a concern that if we raise that, that's gonna?
Delay.
It becomes, is this what we used to call this a scope creep?
Yeah,
You get into scope creep. And to your point, Roy, is do you prioritize the scope or do you prioritize the funds? And say, we're gonna control it based on funds, and we're gonna control it based on scope. And I'm just trying to understand kinda where we're at from the standpoint of the original scope that we went in with. That'd be another way to ask it. Are you expanding the scope for what we went out to get bids on?
yeah, with the bridges, we are. That's why, this was mainly cart paths is what this all
Yeah.
started out to be. Now we're have to do bridge work, which we didn't anticipate doing bridge work with, and that's something that we can do. Just thinking out loud here, he can put 2 bridges out there and there's hardly no cost. And then the other 3 could go in July on our new budget, if we want to do it that way. That's the ones that's gonna take more cost.
and would
It'd
also
be till
need cement.
July before they got in. One of them, is one that's,
And they brought machinery out last week,
Mhm.
right? So they're already on
yeah,
site,
they're,
ready to rock and roll. They're
Yeah.
literally just waiting on the weather,
yeah, they're,
which I think they're finally,
Concrete.
yeah,
yeah.
they
Eric and
already,
Sons is ready to roll.
they actually already started work. They've done quite a bit of stuff. Tomorrow, they're gonna do some grading and then maybe lay asphalt Wednesday, starting Wednesday, if the weather lets him and everything.
So I guess where I'm at, why I bring that up is, we don't, before we get another project, we only got like a week or so before they're ready to
Yeah,
get on to doing driveways again somewhere else.
yeah.
So I think what we need to decide is it worth doing the add-on now to get the rest of the paths done? Or do we want to encourage Dennis to go and do the bridges, whatever? And I think that was the concern of the council, is the park board, what is the stance of the park board? Do the added trails and knock them out? Or like some of you have said, come back later, maybe next year, what'd you say, maybe? July or so, ready for those, and then knock those out, then we're not rushing the project. Pam?
What does Dennis wanna do? What
Dennis
is, I
wants
mean,
it all
what
done.
would you tell?
Yeah,
no,
exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Let it all
No,
do.
I'm serious. What do you wanna do that will benefit you right now to where we don't keep delaying this and talking about it? What do you wanna do right now?
I think the best thing to do from everything I've kinda seen is do the cart pass.
Get the two.
Jerry can put 2 bridges in with minimal, that's something that we can do, just a small little tie-in on the concrete, it's real minimal. And then the other 3 that need more work done, bid that out in July.
Get those
So
ready
is
for
that what
next-
we need to vote on? I mean, is that what you want us to?
I
Since
think
they've
that's
already
be
approved
the
it?
best situation, unless y'all wanna do it all, I mean, you know, ideal situation, you do it all, but, you know, the money's there, but getting it through.
Is it
Council
gonna,
and all
is
that
it gonna
stuff.
delay you if we
But
do
the
that?
bureaucracy of it all is gonna cost you
Yeah.
60 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's real.
For what it's worth, I think we do just what we've
What's
laid
on
out
here.
in quick.
Agreed.
What about this? What about this? If we can get if we can get all the car paths done like we think,
Right,
and Jerry can lay those 2, and we can do the concrete, I think that's what we do.
I think
I
that's the
think that's the
simplest,
easiest,
right.
yes, and that puts it exactly where we
second
need it in
that.
July. The other bridges.
The other 3 will be
we're
done in
looking at
July,
funding,
right.
and then
So-
engineering gets done, and.
Yeah.
So
so
can
be
we
it.
call for a vote on that since we pretty much agree and
Did we do,
You
did
making
we
that a motion?
do a
I
motion?
am. I am
Well, it's
making a motion.
discussion, So,
So there's no possible action.
there's no action to it, correct?
There's,
What's
So
this
there is,
possible?
it says
Is there
possible action.
action
Yeah.
on it? Is that
Yes.
right?
yeah, there is a Scrivener's error, we need to recommend council action, but we do need
Okay.
to
We can't
recommend
approve it,
action.
all we can do is recommend it.
Yes.
Roll call? Oh, well, first off, I need a motion on the
I did.
floor.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call?
Graybill,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Buffington,
Yes.
Graves,
Yes.
Shelby.
Yes.
Awesome. Get
Yes.
some cart paths rolling.
Roy, you need to get
She
Roy.
forgot you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Jackson is here.
On my list, Jackson.
Yes.
Anything else?
I don't have anything that I can think of. I got a lot going, but I can't think.
Well,
of
thank you for all your work. I mean, that's
Oh,
a ton of.
My pleasure. I can't, you know, I know it's exciting times for the golf course. It just tickles me that we actually have some revenue to make some good things
See
happen.
the light at the end of the tunnel, maybe a little bit here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And this is the most expensive project we got, so once we get this behind us, we keep making some money, we'll really do some good things, equipment and everything. Good.
All right, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Unforeseen business. Get a motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion.
second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
So did I
All the
miss
little i's to
anything?
dot and t's to cross and all that kind of stuff. It's
Other
real.
meetings?
We deal with it. You'd be better off.
Right?
Be there on Saturday.
Well, I understand they're out there, they're on the